بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. My dear brothers and sisters and friends and respected guests, I greet you with the warmest Islamic greetings of peace and the greetings of paradise. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters and friends, thank you very much for coming out in such large numbers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless every single one of you. I am very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being here today, and I think it is a sign of the rahmah of Allah, because only Islam could take a Greek and bring him to Turkey and have so much love from the Turks. So this is a wonderful mercy of Islam that's able to unite different hearts and minds together throughout history. And this is the amazing thing about Islam, because when you travel the Muslim world, and I've traveled to Malaysia, to Qatar, to Saudi, to Africa, all around the world, and you see different colors, different shapes, different sizes, different types of thinking even within the Muslim world, but you have this bond, this muhabbah, this love amongst the people, which I think you can't find anywhere else. And yes, there's a lot of problems in the Muslim world, and yes, we have colonized minds and colonized hearts, and we have forced political methods and forced ideologies permeating themselves in the Muslim world, and we have war and deceit and injustice, and we have so many problems, but wallahi we still have the love. And I think this is very important, because it's a sign, it's a light at the end of the very dark tunnel, to maybe, in a very humble way, because Muslims should not have kibr, we should not have arrogance, but maybe in a humble way, that maybe we may be the people that deserve what Allah said about us, that we are ukhrijat lin-nas, that we are here lin-nas, for the people, not minan-nas, not from them. And this is not arrogance, it's to show that we have something to offer. We believe as Muslims, we believe that Islamic intellectual compassionate tradition has something to offer the entire world. And that essentially is peace, justice and harmony. And maybe this love that we have amongst each other, whether you're from Greece or from Turkey or from Afghanistan or from Africa, we still have that bond. And maybe that is a sign that we may become a nation again, to be able to solve human problems, because there are so many human problems, brothers and sisters and friends. So many. Even in America, the land of the brave and the home of the free. 25% of America, they live underneath the poverty ladder. 50% of Americans have to get resources and money from the government just to live. Go to Philadelphia. I'm going to go to Philadelphia at the end of the year, inshallah. And you see that people are still looking for food on the streets. But this wasn't the case in your nation. Under the Uthmani Khilafah, this was not the case. Go to the mosques, the old Ottoman buildings, talk to the historians, and you would see baskets for sadaqah. And they say that if you were poor, you didn't have much money today, you could put your hand in the basket, take as much gold coins as you want. The historians say it was always full. For the first time in history, brothers and sisters, the first time in history, in postmodern history, you had food, shelter and clothing for everybody. You don't even have this in America. You don't even have this in Britain, where I'm from. You don't have this in Europe. The so-called Enlightenment, the so-called progressives, the so-called people of whatever. But the point is, We had it as a Muslim Ummah under the Uthmani Khilafah. This was our tradition. And yes, I consider myself Ottoman as well. Why not? And don't forget, brothers and sisters, you did have Greece for more than 400 years. So maybe I have some Ottoman blood. Maybe. But for sure. Osmanlı gelecek. So the point is, brothers and sisters, I'm saying this not for you to feel too proud, but for you to understand, look where you were and look at you now. Yes, things are changing now with Erdogan, yeah? May Allah bless him and preserve him. But the point is, I want you to realize that we're in a position where we have something to offer to humanity. Even when we were described as the sick man of Europe, Abdul Hamid II, when Ireland, next to my country, Britain, was starving, they had the potato famine. It was Abdul Hamid II who sent them food and resources. And he didn't want to embarrass the Queen because she didn't give much. Because even then we were أخرجت للناس. We were for the people. Not from them, but for the people. And this is something that we have to understand, that we have an amazing tradition, brothers and sisters. Don't think your history is only 80, 90 years old. Your history did not start with Kemal Atatürk. That's not your history. Brothers and sisters, your history started when Allah revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Iqra, Bismi Rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read, recite, proclaim in the name of your Lord. This is your history. This is your heritage. Don't be duped and deluded by the false academics, the fake academics in this nation who think your only progression is when you move away from the Quran and Sunnah. No way. The more you run away from Islam, the more you run away from Allah, the more you run away from the Quran and Sunnah, is the more you're going to be digressed, the more you will be anti-progress. Now many people who don't believe in Islam think, how is this the case? Look at the Muslim world. Poor, injustice, there's no accountability, no tolerance. We agree. But this is because they have run away from the timeless principles of Islam. Do you know that? And I have a very small piece of advice from the leadership, for the leadership of this country, in a humble way. If Turkey were to adopt Islamic economics in a proper way, with the real values in a comprehensive way, 10 years, give it 10 years, there's no more poverty in Africa. Wallahi, I believe. If this great nation, this amazing nation, may Allah bless this nation, was to adopt the values of Islam, economics, just economics, comprehensively, there will be no more poverty in Africa. Do you know, I'm a European, I'm Greek, I was born in Britain. Europe to this day has unjust trade laws with Africa. Africa can't do proper trade with Europe because Europe wants all the money. As a European, I feel ashamed. It's injustice. But Islam doesn't preach this type of justice or injustice. It preaches justice for everybody. And the Islamic economic model, brothers and sisters, is based on, yes, something divine, but it's based on reality. We have the right geopolitical framework. Capitalism says too many needs, not enough resources. Too many mouths, not enough yemek, not enough food. But this is not true. There's a hadith in Tirmidhi where the Prophet ﷺ said, the son of Adam, meaning the human being, all he needs is some bread and water, some shelter, and a cloth to hide his nakedness. The Prophet ﷺ was defining our essential limited needs. To survive, you just need food, shelter, and clothing. So this creates a philosophy of distribution to ensure that every single person under our authority has food, shelter and clothing. And this is in line with geopolitical studies. The Food Agricultural Organization, linked to the UN. Do you know what it said? It said, there is enough food on this planet to feed everybody 2,700 calories, which is equivalent, if you take away the children, of 2 planets. And the Food Agricultural Organization said, provided distribution is equal. So the number one problem of economy, brothers and sisters, is not making more money. Human beings are greedy by nature. It is distributing it. And Islam came to solve the number one problem in economics, which was the distribution of wealth. This is Islam, and many people don't know this, that we have solutions for the entire humanity. Do you know 10.6 million children died in Africa in 2003? That is equivalent of the population of children in Germany, France, Greece and Italy. Imagine tomorrow you hear the news. Headlines. All the children in Greece, France, Germany and Italy died. There will be chaos. It will be calamity. But this happens on a yearly basis because we adopt the number one terrorism, which is capitalism. Don't get me wrong, brothers and sisters, we, as an ummah, we don't like terrorism. We don't kill innocent people. This is not our tradition. Yes, we're not pacifists. We don't turn the other cheek because you have no cheeks left. Right? We want to defend humanity. But we reject terrorism. We don't kill innocent human beings. But the real terrorism is capitalism, because more millions die because of a system that is unjust. So this is some of the ideas in Islamic economy. Now, take for instance another idea in Islamic economy, which is the natural resources belong to you, belong to the people. The minerals belong to the people. There's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, people are partners in 3 things: water, pastures, and fire. The ulama, the scholars have derived, this means the natural resources, oil, gas, coal, and also the minerals. There's another hadith referring to the minerals. So the government only has the delegated authority to use those resources and to inject the money back into your society. Imagine the population of Saudi Arabia were to know this hadith. There would be a revolution. Because the kings, the greedy kings, take all the money, or they give it to some of the Americans. And where is the money for the ummah? But the Prophet ﷺ said it belongs to the people. The natural resources belong to the people, not just to the global and corporate elites. Another point in Islamic economics is a stable economy. Our money is not based on nothing. It's not based on nothing, it's based on wealth, like the gold and the silver standard. And that creates more stability, because when there's more money in society, it means there's more wealth. So businesses are not undervalued by the printing of more money. You know, in the Ottoman period, in 1507 I believe, in the Ottoman period, there was only 7 or 8% inflation in 80 years. You say that to Greece, where there's 8% inflation maybe in 6 months. There was more price stability, more stable economy based on our economic principles. Now I'm just mentioning this as an idea. There's much more to say about Islamic economy. Just to give you an idea that we have the solutions for humanity. We have an amazing balanced model that would ensure that everyone has food, shelter and clothing. And we need to realize this, brothers and sisters. And we need to humble ourselves. And we need to realize how grateful every single one of you are. The minute that you have honey on the table and you have running water is the minute you are a king. You're all kings and queens. And you don't even realize it. Wallahi, you're a king, you're a king, you're a king, you're a queen. We are kings and queens. You know, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, you were defined as kingly if you had honey on the table and if you had access to running water. And this should give us a sense of gratefulness. Sometimes we always look above. I want my Lamborghini, right? I want my Prada, right? We don't look below. And the Prophet ﷺ taught us to look below, so we could be grateful to Allah and realize that we have everything. You know, wallahi, when I turned Muslim, wallahi, before I turned Muslim, I couldn't make dua to Allah. I couldn't ask Him for something. I was ashamed, because I thought He gave me everything. The minute I have food and water and family and health, khalas, Allah gave it to me. Obviously, I know that was wrong, because Allah is al-Razzaq, He is bountiful. He wants you to ask. But I felt ashamed, because the minute I have health, I have water, I have food, I'm in the top 5% of the world. You are all in the top 5% of the world, brothers and sisters. Look at how amazing and pious your Prophet, our Prophet, my Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was. Take this hadith in Tirmidhi, Shama'il Tirmidhi, where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, oh, what a beautiful curry vinegar is. He used to take bread and dip it in vinegar, and he was pleased. Which reminds me of a Turkish saying, which means free vinegar is sweeter than honey. So brothers and sisters, I'm mentioning this so you understand that our tradition, our intellectual tradition needs to be revived. It needs to be revived not only for your sake, but for the sake of humanity, because we have a solution for the entire globe, to give them stable economics, to give them an economic model which ensures everyone has food, shelter and clothing. And we have a resume, we have a CV of at least 1,000 years. Capitalism has a CV of 200 years and they failed. If you are a businessman and you have two people to come to you with a CV, and you have so much experience, so many positive things on one side, but on the other side you have destruction, only a few rich and many poor and many dying, who are you going to choose? But the reason the world is not choosing us is because we're not giving them our CV as Islam. We're giving them nationalism. I'm Pakistani, I'm proud, right? We're too proud sometimes. Yes, it's good to love your nation. You have to love your nation, your qawm. All the prophets loved their people. But never make it to the point where it becomes over your deen. SubhanAllah, I came and met the brothers yesterday. Do you know what I said to them? I said, we, the Ottomans, we must re-invade Greece. This is the country of my father. But brothers and sisters, I think we have to re-invade Greece, not to kill anybody, no. To show them the peace and justice and harmony of Islam and our ethics. To give them food. Because Europe and Germany took a lot of resources away from Greece. Capitalism destroyed Greece to the point where mothers were giving their children to the church because they couldn't feed their children anymore. In a European country, the cradle of democracy, you had the likes of Plato and Aristotle. They were a starving nation. And that's why I told them, we should reinvade Greece to help them. I use the word we, because we're a big global family. We don't have lines of nationalism. You know, I was looking into history, and in 1890 there was a map written by the Ottoman administrators. And I looked at the map, I was like, subhanAllah, half of Europe, some of Africa, the whole of Arabia, nearly going to China, India. And look at us now. Look at us now. We had 1/3 of the world giving people relative peace, justice and harmony, and now we're just happy with Asia Minor. Right? I want you to realize something, brothers and sisters. Some people who didn't like you, who killed your forefathers, some people who hated Allah and hated your messenger, and some people who raped your women and killed your men. They took a map and they drew lines on a map, and you define yourself by those lines. See, that when I think of Turkey, I don't think of boundaries. When I think of Turkey, I think of the Ottoman spirit. When I think of Turkey, I think of an ummah that loves Allah. When I think of Turkey, I think of the greatest administrators to have walked this planet. This is Turkey. Don't look at the Arabs, bless them, yeah? Who expanded the Haram? It was the Turks. They were the greatest administrators. And they were the ones that had unprecedented justice and tolerance. Learn about your history. Even the Jews say good things about you, the Turks. The Jews! Did you know this? And not any old Jew, the academics. Take Amnon Cohen, a contemporary academic. He wrote a book called A World Within. It's 2 volumes. He collected 1,000 records of the judiciary under the Qadi, under the Islamic judge. 1,000 records. And he analyzed them and he said, oh my God, I'm saying this, but I'm just, you know. I did some spice, some salsa, yeah? He said, although the Jews had the freedom to go to the rabbis, the majority of them, they decided to go to the Qadi because they knew justice lived in Islam. They knew justice and peace and harmony was represented by the Islamic model. This is a Jew, Amnon Cohen. I have the book at home. Buy it for yourself. A World Within. Another book written by the historian Philip Mansell is called Constantinople. He produces a primary source, a letter from a Jewish rabbi in 1453 in the 15th century. And he writes a letter to his Jewish brothers in Europe. He says, "Oh my brothers, come to the land of the Turks. Rich are the fruits of the earth. We're not oppressed with heavy taxes. And we live in peace and freedom." This was Turkey. This was it, people. This is your heritage. Where even an oppressed minority throughout history, like the Jews, can feel peace, can feel harmony, and can feel economically liberated and emancipated. This is your history. Take, for instance, brothers and sisters and friends, another Jewish historian from the 19th century, Heinrich Graetz. He said, the Jews, they live favorably under the Mohammedans, under the Muslims. And this was the Ottoman period. Brothers and sisters, there is so much more to say about what Turkey symbolizes. You know, my father, he's Greek. Yunanistan, yeah? Or Rum. And my dad is very open-minded. And he knows this, but when he was growing up in Greece, do you know what Greeks think of Turks? It's not the best news. We used to think barbarians. They used to burn books. They treat the women very badly. And my dad was brought up like this. And they oppressed the Greeks for 400 years. But when you go into academia and you learn the history, and I showed this to my father, he's like, you know, I have to follow the truth. And now he appreciates a Greek man who was in the Marines. He was in Marine school on the anti-aircraft guns. That's my father. He used to play for a Greek football team. But my father opened his mind so much, where he now loves the Ottoman history. And when he goes to Greece for 6 months every year, he teaches his Greek friends how the Ottomans were more tolerant than the Greeks. This is my father, and he's not even Muslim yet. So the point is, brothers and sisters, we have a lot to offer, and we have to show people what this beautiful tradition is about. Because it's no good you just studying, doing your economics degree or political philosophy degree. You have to have global aspirations. You have to have a global vision for human beings. You know, I don't watch movies, right? Because sometimes it's a waste of time. Number two, too many women on there. And sometimes too much music, and it's not good for the heart sometimes. But I was on the plane on Turkish Airlines. Very nice airlines, by the way. The food is çok güzel. So I was on the plane and I said, let me watch a movie. And I watched a movie called John Q. And I was crying throughout the whole movie. I always cry on planes, I don't know why, I get very emotional, yeah? But I was crying on the movie because John Q was about a father who loved his son. And this is a story that is represented in many people's lives in America and around the world. And this guy, his son has a heart problem. And you know, in America you have to have medical insurance to get good cover. And he had to pay like $250,000 in order for his son to have a heart transplant operation. And he's miskeen, he's poor, he just has a low-level insurance policy, he can't afford this. To cut a long story short, he goes through many struggles and he picks up a gun and he holds the accident and emergency department hostage. And he says, you guys make so much money, just for once don't care about money, have humanity and give my son his operation. And it was such a sad story because, you know what I was thinking to myself? You know, if Islam, its ethics and its values was running America and the whole world, I really truly believe there will be free healthcare for anyone, everyone, without any insurance. And that for me drives me to talk about Islam more. Because I love human beings. I'm a people person. And I cry when people cry, and I laugh when people laugh, right? And I enjoy, I have empathy. You know, my dad taught me this when I was young. And when I saw the film, although it wasn't a true story, I know it's true for many people in the world. And just imagine a world where everyone has free healthcare, regardless of cost. Imagine a world where everyone has food, everyone has shelter, everyone has clothing. Imagine this world. This is the world that Islam wants for people. And that's why Islam is a rahmah. The Prophet ﷺ was described as a rahmah for the whole world in the Quran. But we can only show people this if we talk to people. And we talk about our history, and we talk about our values, and we show it to others.